Assalamu alaikum and very good evening to all of you. Before starting the session formally, I would like to ask Mr. Ashfaq Rafiq Bhai to kindly recite verses from the Holy Quran. Please.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا استعينوا بالصبر والصلاة إن الله مع الصابرين ولا تقولوا لمن يقتل في سبيل الله أموات بل أحياء ولكن لا تشعرون ولنبلونكم بشيء من الخوف والجوع ونقص من الأموال والأنفس والثمرات وبشر الصابرين الذين إذا أصابتهم مصيبة قالوا إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون صدق الله العظيم.
Jazakallah Ashfaq Bhai. The ocean drives global systems that make the earth habitable for humankind. Our rainwater, drinking water, weather, climate, coastlines, much of our food, and even the oxygen in the air we breathe are all ultimately provided and regulated by the sea. However, at the current time, there is a continuous deterioration of coastal waters owing to pollution and ocean acidification. Moreover, overfishing, marine pollution, and ocean acidification are threatening marine biodiversity. Pakistan is endowed with diversified natural capital spanning from a long coast to the second highest mountain peak K2 of the world. The 990 kilometers long coastline, shared by the coastal provinces of Sindh and Balochistan, leads onto the marine zones of Pakistan. As we all know, that tomorrow is the day which is celebrated globally as the World Ocean Day. So, to shed light on the importance of ocean today and to understand why it is so important for not all of us, but for the people of Pakistan or the region, but for the globe. So what is its importance, and also to celebrate in advance, IPS, Institute of Policy Studies, is actually organizing this webinar in collaboration with Karachi University, National Institute of Maritime Affairs, Pakistan Maritime Security Agency, as well as Maritime Study Forum. This session will be chaired by former Ambassador and IPS Vice Chairman Syed Abrar Hussain. He will join us shortly. Among the panelists, we have Dr. Azhar Ahmed. He is Senior Associate Professor, Bahia University, Islamabad. Dr. Anil Salman, Director Academics, Maritime Study Forum, and Director Faculty Development Program, ComSets University. Dr. Asma Tabassum, Manager Research Operations and Development, Oric University of Karachi. Dr. Maliha Zeba Khan, Assistant Professor, National University of Modern Languages. Dr. Nuzhat Khan, former Director General, National Institute of Oceanography, Pakistan. Nagmana Zafar, Senior Research Fellow, National Institute of Maritime Affairs, NEMA. And Commander Faisal Sadiq, 23rd Offshore Patrol Squadron and COPMSS Indus. And we will also have, if possible, Nofal Shahrukh as well, who will join as discussant. This whole session is actually to discuss the World Ocean Day 2021, which is themed the ocean, life and livelihood. The sequence of the session will be just like discussion, in which we will ask discussants to deliberate on the topic. We will follow a particular sequence, but इसमें लिबर्टी होगी जो हमारे स्पीकर्स हैं कि वो चाहें जो पर्टिकुलर जो असाइन टॉपिक था उनको उस पर बात करें, या चाहे तो वो जो भी कमेंट कर सकें रेलेवेंट इस पर्टिकुलर सब्जेक्ट और डे के हवाले से. तो अब मैं चाहूँगा कि मैं इसको स्टार्ट करूँ. वैसे तो अभी क्या नाम है, एम्बेसडर अब्रार साहब ने इसको चेयर करना था, तो ओपनिंग रिमार्क्स उन्होंने देने थे, बट अनफॉर्चुनेटली अभी तक वो हमको ज्वाइन नहीं कर सके ड्यू टू सम कनेक्टिविटी इश्यूज. तो होपफुली उनसे हम कंक्लूडिंग रिमार्क्स ले सकेंगे. मैं अब रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा डॉक्टर अजहर अहमद साहब से, एसोसिएट प्रोफेसर बहरिया यूनिवर्सिटी इस्लामाबाद, and he has also authored a book on Gwadar as well. Okay, sir, please kindly deliberate on the topic. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Chief. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you. Please continue.
Thank you very much, and Assalamu alaikum to the hosts, IPS, all the panelists, and ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a privilege for me to be among this learned company while we celebrate the World Oceans Day, which is, of course, a very significant event, as Honorable Nisar Memon also just said. And I must appreciate IPS and specifically Khalid Rahman Sahab, although he is not here, but he has always shown keen interest in the promotion of the maritime sector. And of course, the chair is also not here. I think it's a good addition to the IPS. Let me start on a positive note. I think we have come a long way as far as maritime awareness is concerned. During just the last few years, just 5 to 7 years back, we could not even find a speaker on the subject in Islamabad, and the IPS and people in maritime know that I was kind of a lone warrior in this campaign, and it was considered an achievement to put together one conference or seminar in a year. Now we have a list of speakers to choose from, and discussions on topics related to the maritime have become a regular feature, with almost all the think tanks contributing. In fact, specific think tanks like the Maritime Study Forum and NEMA have also come up to add to the efforts. CPEC undoubtedly has given a fillip to our interest and understanding of the maritime sector. And another good thing is that, unlike in the past, the experts not originally belonging to the maritime sector per se have joined the fraternity. If I can give example, even today in this panel, we have academics like Anil Salman and Malia Zeba, who are doing a very good job. So I think it's a good omen. And you mentioned the publication of my book in 2017. Since then, that was probably the first research-based book on maritime in Pakistan. But since then, we have seen a lot of publications come up. At least 3 books on blue economy have been published in just last 2 years, and a number of research papers also. I know a lot of graduate and postgraduate scholars have taken up maritime topics for their research thesis. And I know at least 2 universities, Bahria and Namal, who are teaching maritime related courses regularly in their curricula. And I keep encouraging my other colleagues also to join this important cause and start this in all the universities. If you recall my speech on a similar subject way back in 2016 in IPS, I had stressed on the formation of Ministry of Maritime Affairs, and it was taken up by the press as well. Today, we have a dedicated ministry. How well it is doing is a subject of debate, but at least there is a progress. Last year was declared Year of the Blue Economy, and we saw a number of activities planned at the think tanks level and also at the governmental level. This all, of course, is very heartening. However, allow me to submit that it is just a small headway. considering how far behind we still are in terms of maritime awareness and expertise to exploit this great gift of nature. One critical example of this fact is the interest of our policymakers in the maritime domain. And since the time is limited and there are a lot of better speakers also, what I'll do is I'll only submit a few focused points in the form of recommendations and way forward so that we can recap what needs to be done on this significant day. And I'm sure the other details will be covered by the worthy speakers, or if later on you require me again to speak and on anything particular, I am at your service. Ladies and gentlemen, Pakistan's national maritime policy, as you know, was promulgated in 2002. It has not been revised since. If I can recall correctly, the revised policy was drafted almost a decade back, and we have not been able to finalize or approve the draft in 10 years. Even in IPS, we had a special session to discuss this policy almost, I think, about 5-6 years back, and we gave a lot of recommendations to the government to improve that policy, but we did not move forward. That's the kind of apathy we are still dealing with at the top when it comes to the maritime sector. So most importantly, I think there is an urgent need to review the national maritime policy and consequently respective policies of individual sectors. One of them, Pakistan's merchant marine policy, was revised in 2019, almost after 2 decades. But those who have read it would certify that it has been a poor effort, to say the least. The formulation of policies is a work of dedicated, competent professionals. It cannot be handled as a side job, and we should take it seriously because our future depends on it. With that, of course, there's a need to devise a maritime strategy in light of the overall national policy for the protection and projection of Pakistan's maritime interests. A comprehensive strategy is required for development of coastal zones, ports and harbors, protection and conservation of marine environment and ecosystem, and welfare of the coastal communities. There is a perennial demand of forming a maritime authority to steer and address the issues of the maritime sector, which needs to be taken up urgently. Maritime sector involves various government ministries and departments, which complicates the issue of coordination. So there is definitely a requirement, although the ministry has been set up, but you know how the ministries run. We need to have a national maritime authority type of an organization led by thorough professionals or technocrats to ensure implementation of the maritime policy by monitoring or coordinating the activities of different departments. Policy implementation needs to be improved in all sectors. We all know that the Chief of the Naval Staff is the principal technical advisor to the government on maritime affairs, both in peace and war. And the governments are not making the best use of this resource, and I'm not talking of any particular government. He must be consulted on all maritime issues in the maritime domain. Pakistan Navy has traditionally led the campaign of maritime awareness in the country. Given the resources and expertise available to the service, the Navy can take further initiatives to complement the efforts of the ministry or the Maritime Authority if and when it gets established. Also, the current scientific knowledge about Pakistan's coast and maritime zone is inadequate. Perhaps Dr. Nuzhat can throw more light on it. Our founding fathers were better aware of the significance of this aspect, and if you remember, 2 survey vessels were commissioned as early as in 1948. And since then, there has been negligible effort from the government. Only Navy has invested in survey vessels, and even then, the task has remained partially full. Uh, there is a need to invest in survey, data collection, and research in the maritime sector. We need to know our resource, and we cannot depend on others to provide us sensitive information. All over the world, coastal communities are usually better off because the coastal areas are more developed. In Pakistan, it has been the opposite. Except for Karachi, the entire coast has remained neglected, and the coastal communities are mostly living in poor conditions. Although CPAC has already started making difference in the lives of some locals, however, in line with the theme of the day, more concerted efforts are required to impart modern training and necessary skills in all sectors of maritime so that they improve their livelihoods and contribute effectively in national economy. Capacity building is our major issue in the maritime sector, and it should be given due priority. We also know that what has been the contribution of the private sector uh, after partition, especially in developing the merchant marine in Pakistan. Unfortunately, due to reasons well known, this is not the opportunity perhaps to dilate on them, the private sector got discouraged. We should seriously consider introducing suitable legislation supported by conducive environment to attract private investment in the maritime domain. Maritime sector cannot, and I repeat, it cannot flourish without the participation of the private sector. There's no dearth of experts and investors. Pakistanis have invested abroad in this sector, and given the right incentives, they will surely be happy to invest in Pakistan if they see that their investment will benefit. Uh, Enhanced coordination is required with other countries within the ambit of the uh, law of the sea, as well as other international conventions, treaties, and agreements. We hardly have any notable presence in the pool of international maritime experts. This area needs attention of the government, and the government needs to prepare and encourage experts who could represent Pakistan on the international fora. There is also an urgent need to prepare an ocean economic roadmap, and this is my favorite for the country, to benefit from immense maritime potential and develop the entire coast on the principle of perhaps integrated coastal zone management or whatever is considered feasible by the experts. Knowledge is power, ladies and gentlemen. This is an era of knowledge. A comprehensive program is required to create maritime awareness and culture in the populace, particularly the ruling elite, the decision makers. Uh, Let me say that with advancements in science and technology, man's access to the ocean and his ability to explore and exploit the treasures of the sea, it is only obvious that the seas will contribute more and more in the prosperity, strength, and prestige of states blessed with such an access, like Pakistan is. The growing interest in ocean resources is the direct consequence of our realization that the resources on land may not be able to cope with the insatiably growing needs of us, humans, and also the knowledge of the infinite potential of the oceans. The state of the maritime sector in Pakistan indicates lack of a suitable maritime vision and a strategy to implement that vision, which in fact is a test case for Pakistan's maritime planners. And it is a pity that I'm saying that after so many years of CPAC. So I think we need a more comprehensive planning and a wider understanding of the subject. In the end, I'll just caution that history is witness to the fact that nations which neglected their maritime sector often remained at the mercy of others. Maritime sector is a huge source of economic potential and a formidable element of our national security, and therefore deserves corresponding attention. The kind of attention that you people have given to me, and I thank you very much for that, and I look forward to learning from the more better speakers after this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your insightful words. Before proceeding the session further, I would like to make two announcements here. Ms. Samina Qureshi, Assistant Professor at Karachi University, she were to moderate this session, but unfortunately due to some personal reasons, she could not attend the session today. Secondly, former Ambassador and IPS Vice Chairman, Syed Abrar Hussain Sahab, has joined the session. Welcome to you, sir. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam and thank you.
Thank you, sir. Welcome to you here. Now I would like to ask Dr. Nusrat Khan, former DG, National Institute of Oceanography, Pakistan, to comment on the topic on the importance of ocean in line with marine ecosystem and livelihood. She can also, you can also, ma'am, talk on some other subject as well. It's up to you. Over to you, ma'am.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, ma'am.
Providing me to talk subject. Most probably I born in ocean. The ocean is there. And the ocean is basically not something to enjoy, to cherish, or is something. Is a media to sustain this planet. If you put like a market, it's the strongest pillar of this market. If you look at ocean as
Ma'am, your voice is breaking actually.
thing is
We
in our
can't hear you
future.
properly.
All the time. You hear me? Hello?
Sorry, ma'am. Hello?
I believe Dr. Saiba is still traveling.
Sorry?
Yeah, I think so.
जी आवाज आ रही है आपको?
Ma'am, आ रही है, but रुक
इनको
के.
बाद में दे दें जब वो settle हो
No,
जाए.
not at all. I'm at home now.
That's
Okay.
great. आपकी आवाज अब साफ आ रही है.
नहीं,
ma'am.
मैं घर पे आ गई हूँ.
ठीक है, ma'am. You can continue. ठीक है, ma'am. We can hear you.
आ रही है?
जी बिल्कुल आपकी आवाज आ रही है अब. But break हो रही है, but आवाज आ रही है आपकी.
मैंने कहा कि as Dr. mentioned, ocean is basically there's no life out. So we have to take care of oceans. If the word is taught, not just in research and education and in business sector, the word in ocean research and development. The Woodhouse, the oldest oceanographic institute established on the first ever made in early 70s just for a navigation. The ocean is very important development and the future development needed. Unfortunately, not taking care of our oceans, our livelihood. We are taking an advantage. The ocean sustainability on stake. If ocean sustainability on stake means our livelihood on stake, Our livelihood depend on ocean livelihood, ocean creatures as well, biodiversity, our future food resources. So if we would like to develop in a minimal manner, we have to invest more and more in ocean education and research. Every time I try and invest, the ocean is not like Sindh and Pakistan or Balochistan ocean. This is the Pakistan oceans. This should be taken care by all our partners. This should be research and educated like all Pakistan universities, is not just in Karachi. Mera khayal hai, the IPS took a very good initiative. They have started, they try to bring ocean in Islamabad and trying and integrate it to other parts of Pakistan as well. This is needed be. And what's really more important to develop ocean sciences, we need to put some interest in terms of finance, in terms of mandatory. Like we try and put money in it, like put a dollar value, is more important for us, and we look at the money perspective, and we normally taking care of these subject more. So what I emphasize every time is to develop financial or maybe need-based solution with a small business ventures. We call as entrepreneurship, but we need to find solutions for economical growth as well as protection of marine environment. If we are able to find business solutions, then we may have a better choices, or maybe we can find a better way of protecting our environment. If you look at the mangrove ecosystem in Pakistan, we used to have the 5th largest mangrove ecosystem, especially if we look at the dry climate. This was the largest one, but it's getting shrinkage. The problem is seawater intrusions and few more. Unplanned coastal development, these are the threat to our coastal area. But if you look at the one plant of ocean is absorbing a lot of carbon dioxide, is basically providing us a very clean environment. If you look at the price of oxygen, which are in COVID, we are looking for clean oxygen. Everybody is trying to plant a plant for oxygen production, which we already planted there. The God has planted for us, but we are not taking care of these plants. We should be. Number two, our coastal areas, especially if you look at Karachi, mostly the entire Pakistan economy is dependent on Karachi coast. It may be weird if I could say this is the entire Pakistan economy, because if we fuel, the oil supply, that means Pakistan won't supply. And our harbor and ports, they are the primary source of providing fuel to entire Pakistan. So we should taking care of coastal areas, not just enjoying in transportation and fisheries and coastal development in terms of industrial development. But industrial development won't be compromised environmental development, environmental degradation of or coastal area degradation. So we should taking care of our economy, but not on the price of degradation of marine environment. The biggest threat for our livelihood, not just biodiversity livelihood, our livelihood, because we depend on the biodiversity as well, on the plastic pollution, the solid waste management. So we need to taking care of solid waste, especially the plastic, the terrestrial problem. If we can control on land, we may clean our oceans. Yesterday, we visited Karachi Harbor, and we try and clean this Karachi Harbor with the help of Sindh Environmental Protection Agency. But this is only one-time activity. But this needs to be continue for long. We need to taking care of coastal environment if we would like to get maximum benefit out of it. Thank you very much. I'm available for further question and answer. Thank you
so
for the
much,
time.
ma'am. Thank you for your kind words. Ma'am, I have a question for you, because you have rightly mentioned that Pakistan is gifted with ample natural resources in terms of marine resources. But on this day, I mean, I'm talking about World Ocean Day 2021, don't you think we, as the theme is also about life and livelihood, we also must focus on the development of our coastal communities and to end their miseries. मतलब आपके ख्याल में ऐसा क्या हमको करना चाहिए एज ए नेशन भी और क्या नाम है जिसे कहना चाहिए ना कि स्टेक होल्डर भी कि उनकी जो मिजरीज हैं उनको हम ज़रा एड्रेस कर सकें.
ये सवाल मेरे लिए है.
जी मैम आपके लिए.
हेलो. अच्छा मैं आपको एक बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग सी बात बताती हूँ. The fishermen, and not just the fishermen, we are also coastal community as well. When we look at the coastal community, we all only consider the coastal community, the fishermen community, but the others are also living in the coastal area as well. For us, like we belong to an elite class or maybe the more privileged class, but we have a problem with the breathing, with the toxic fumes and getting our seas and beaches are polluted. And similarly, the coastal communities are more affected. It's not with the pollution from the ocean, but the biodiversity. Because उनकी जो livelihood is more fisheries and fisheries related business. अच्छा, एक तो बहुत जरूरी है कि हम systemic way में उनका data collect करें, what exactly they are looking for, और उनका जो basic problem जो मैंने observe in the last years, there is a lot of problem with the management. There is a problem with the stock and the sale and otherwise, but for me, the more problem is the management. If we can manage their livelihood means the fishing activities, the boats and nets, so they will be more beneficial. And there is a lot of safe culture there, boat owners was there. So there is not just a single problem facing the poor fishermen, but there is a lot of problems because we always focused on agriculture, livelihood, agriculture, enhancement of the agriculture activity, but we are least concerned about the fishery sector. But this is more important for our livelihood and for their livelihood as well. So we need to have more good management system, education and training for the fishermen, and moreover, the boats they are using, the nets they are using, and the handling of the fish catch. This is more important. Number one, handling and then transportation to the businessman or the market. But there is not a direct and local market. You hardly find any local market in upstream like in Lahore, in Islamabad, in KPK of marine fish. So we need to develop a good marketing strategy. As Dr. Azhar said, we need to have a policy. We need to have a more policy like indigenous capacity building of the fishermen. This is my perspective instead of providing them funds and things and training, encouraging and issuing the problem to problem discussing. But for me, if I need to have more management system for the. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for addressing the query. Now I would like to ask Ms. Nagmana Zafar to comment on the opening doors of blue economy. Awareness is the key. Over to you.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. Thank you so much IPS for arranging this very important, very significant event. I hope everyone can hear me. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, thank you. We are gathered here to actually discuss about the oceans, and according to the theme, we are supposed to also deliberate upon the livelihood. And I actually chose the topic to talk about blue economy for a particular reason. We have seen over the time that in Pakistan, everyone is talking about blue economy, which is related to oceans, and we are trying to bring out solutions and reasons and ways from where we can get some economical benefit out of oceans. So on this occasion of World Ocean Day, I wanted to highlight and share with the panelists that what is the significance of blue economy and health of oceans. you cannot get any economical benefit out of oceans until you take care of their health. And when it comes to ocean health, and if we look at the challenges Pakistan is facing with regards to ocean health, these challenges are very critical. I'm sure the representative of Pakistan Maritime Security Agency will discuss some of them. But as a matter of fact, pollution is one very significant issue. Then dumping of sewage, untreated sewage into the sea is very critical for Pakistan. And I still remember Dr. Nuzhat was part of of NIO when they conducted a study, and it was highlighted in the study that 50% of the pollution that is dumped into the sea on the recreational beaches of Pakistan is basically an attribute of recreational activities along the coast. So it's not just that the industries are responsible for the pollution, or the ports are responsible for the pollution. The role of individual in maintaining the health of ocean is very critical. As far as blue economy is concerned, I actually selected the topic that if you really want to get benefit out of blue economy, ocean awareness is the key. Why? Because number one, your oceans should be healthy. Only that is, if your oceans are healthy, only then you would be able to get benefit out of it. Your fisheries will flourish. Your non-living marine products can be explored from the ocean and can be exported. The coastal communities can have a better livelihood, and of course environment. We see that we all who are living in Karachi, they face an issue. We have been experiencing an extreme heat wave during the summer, and that is only because of an implication of climate change. So we have to focus on the health of ocean and role. If we want to have an all-inclusive campaign about the health of ocean, individuals has a critical role to play. It is not always the government. It is not always the institutions or NGOs. We all have a general responsibility to protect and preserve our ocean. We must adopt environmental friendly lifestyle and support maritime stakeholders in their efforts to promote blue economy and protect our oceans. Even just by raising awareness about the resources and health of oceans and how can we protect oceans, we are doing a bit of our part. We always need to remember and tell to our acquaintances, friends, family members that from oxygen, climate, food to mineral, and the breath we take and the beauty of this ocean, everything is something which is we should be thankful to the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for these blue waters. And I would also like to highlight that remember the 3R rule in your life. That is reduce the disposable item, reuse item to avoid waste, and lastly, recycle as much as possible. So this is a basic rule. If we adopt in our life, we would be contributing our bit, our part of the ocean, our part of into preserving the health of the oceans. I would like to end here, and I'll be available for further question and answers or any other remarks. Thank you so much.
Climate change, which is taking its toll on health of oceans and our beaches as well. Thank you for that. Now I would like to ask Commander Faisal Sadr from PMSA to kindly comment on the topic, which is protection of fishermen and EEZ resources for sustainable livelihood. Can you hear us, sir? Sir, it would be better if you kindly switch off the video. So we can see you but can't hear you. Am I audible to you? कुछ issue आ रहा है connectivity का, I think. Are Dr. Neil Salman or Dr. Maliha with us? Assalam bhai. I think we are having some issues from headquarter PMSA. I would like to ask now Dr. Asma Tabassum from Karachi University, Manager Auric, to comment on biodiversity for sustaining people and their livelihoods. Over to you, Dr. Asma Tabassum.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nam, for taking me on board at this very important day of oceans biodiversity, basically. I basically want to introduce myself first. I'm PhD in marine botany, basically. The ocean covers 70% of the planet. And the oceanic life and livelihoods are most related, what I think, that they are very much related to the biodiversity of plant-like organisms which are present in ocean life. These plant-like organisms, they are basically of two categories, like macroalgae and microalgae. But the algae are the most neglected living organisms in terms of biodiversity as far as aquatic environment is concerned, whether they are freshwater or marine. These, although these seaweeds or algae are considered as an important alternative source of livelihood for the coastal communities. These seaweeds are rich in minerals, trace elements, protein, iodine, vitamins, and many bioactive substances. My expertise, fortunately, are on both the types of algal communities. They are phytoplanktons and macroalgae, which are commonly known as seaweeds. Weeds is the term basically used for the unwanted, substances or plant-like organisms. But I must say, these seaweeds, they constitute one of the commercially important renewable marine living resources. As we know that these oceans, they provide us at least 50% of the plant oxygen. And this oxygen comes from these living resources which are present in oceanic and you can say marine environment, from phytoplanktons and seaweeds. My expertise are basically on phytoplanktons, diatoms, and all these anthropogenic activities oil spills or any other different, conducting issues in terms of, ocean acidification, coastal construction as well, global warming, climate change. I have been to the coastal environment for the last 14 to 15 years, but I have seen a disastrous change in the on the coastal belt. Those species, what we get from our Karachi coast, and we research on that species. But usually nowadays, if we go to the Karachi coastline with the specific areas, we have observed that most of the species, they have been extinct. I don't know. Sometimes we have observed that a great many anthropogenic activities are, going on at the coastal belt, which are very much, disastrous for the development of the natural flora of that ecosystem. We have, as Dr. Mirzad said, that we have worked on the entrepreneurship and business solutions with respect to the marine resources. And from University of Karachi, we have, started working on the product development from the marine resources, the seaweeds, the brown, green, and red seaweed. I personally formulated a lot of products in terms of cosmetics, in terms of biofilms uh, made from the specific red algae. We have worked on agar, which are the specific, phycocolloidal extracts from these seaweeds. And these phycocolloidal extracts, they are used in our daily routine, normal, type of products, what we use in our daily routine life. For example, gelatin. For example, in cosmetic industries. So we do have a lot of potential. We do have that precious resource at our coastline, but we neglect it gradually. We on the platform of the University of Karachi, we try to give awareness to the layman that these seaweeds or algae, they are very much potentially active. Don't consider them useless. Use them to establish, we can establish industries. These are the agar which we utilize in every bacteriological media, in our testing laboratories. We import them from different countries, but we do have these type of precious livestock on our coastline from which we can easily get all these stuff from our local, indigenous seaweed from the Karachi coast. As Dr. Azhar Ahmed said, that there is a need of the formulation of maritime authority. So I think these type of authorities, they can look into the matter, that what are the things that are destroying, that are depleting the natural flora of the community, what is present, what are all these stuff, they are very important for us, for they are associated with our livelihood. On almost 300 species belonging to more than 100 genera of the seaweeds, they are reported from the coastline of Balochistan and Karachi and Sindh as well. So, but they are gradually, declining. At the rocks, what we see, the rocks are barren. We can't find it on their specific time zone. What we, because there is not, we can't collect all the time all these seaweeds. There is, specific months on which we can collect specific kind of seaweeds, and we utilize in different product development or further studies as well. So there's a question that what measures we are taking to conserve all these species. I have a question for all the the participants which are online with us. So this is very close to my heart. This subject is very close to my heart. That's why I'm very much emphasizing on the importance of these algal resources, which are their economical, medicinal, biological, and environmental importance they have. So you can ask me further question if you want.
Thank you for your words, and I hope our distinguished speakers have heard your question and it will be answered shortly. Now I would like to, I think I'm audible in headquarter PMSA as well. Am I? Sir, am I audible here in headquarter PMSA.
I have a question. May I ask the question to Dr. Asma?
Sure,
Yes,
ma'am.
please.
May I?
Yes,
Sorry if I'm
yes, madam.
talking. While we are waiting for another speaker, I have a few things to discuss with you, which I really interested in. We have been talking about a lot of potential, lot of problems. As Nagmana and me discussed lot of problems, and you discussed lot of potential. And
Yeah.
how we can go forward for a commercial venture, or maybe more like economy development project. Have you ever tried to involve some local industries to come up and do some kind of business venture, maybe pilot project with you, or if I put in another word, have you ever tried to establish a small business venture by yourself and your team? Have you ever tried it?
Yes, I would like to give answer. First, actually, as far as industries are concerned, yes, we approached them. I don't want to take the name of a very well-known industry, but and they are now they are making their own cosmetics products with respect to seaweeds or algae are concerned. But uh, s- at the same time, they are importing that algae from the foreign, source. We offered them that we do have all the information, and what species you want, we can provide it to you in very minimum cost. But the lack of, I don't know, the confidence, or I don't know what is the reason, but they are
No.
importing them, and they don't know what is inside, which type of algae they are uh, taking from other sources. I don't know what's the
May,
reason.
may, may I allow to continue this discussion?
Yeah,
May
please.
I? I'm sure. You know what I'm interested in asking, because I think these forums are not just for discussing problems and issues and potential. I think these
Yes.
forums are there to drive on, to look for the future, where we can
Hmm.
work together and do the local market development. I
Hmm.
think I'm not much interested in just discussing, sorry to say, uh,
Hmm.
highlighting the issue, discussing the potential. We all are aware of much
Hmm.
potential, and this is all very well established, the ocean
Hmm.
potentials and the threats. But for my interest, because I am interested and I'm in a process of establishing my own private entrepreneurship, especially blue economy
That's
entrepreneurship,
great.
I'm much
Okay.
interested in. Okay, we need to
Okay.
develop a local market. We
Hmm.
have to be together, maybe with
Hmm.
a very low profit earning, because we need to find and create a market. So if you are looking and you want to involve some big agencies, big
Hmm.
industrialists, they may not help you
Hmm.
out, and you
Hmm.
have to go for a small industrial venture. They might have a daring to do something new and exciting, less like a business research also, new business development. We name is
That's great.
entrepreneurship. So I think you have to look, you have a team behind you, the students are there, you have a
Yes, we do
laboratories are
have.
there. I think
Yes, we do
we
have.
need to put something in that your research innovations, to put in more dollar price on it, rather than like
Yes.
publishing a paper. This need to be transferred or translated to some business venture, which I'm interested in.
Yes.
So if
Yes,
I
we
can
need to
help you
commercialize.
out,
Hmm.
we need to develop some pilot project and maybe find some attractive market around in Pakistan, or maybe outside Pakistan, because I have been
Hmm.
in Indonesia. There's a big market and big business of all seaweeds or maybe marine related activities. So
Yes.
we can develop that kind of stuff with us. Most probably, I would like to see you after this seminar if I can help you out in some way.
Thank you very much. I would like to
Yeah.
highlight my some of the projects which I
Mhm.
have worked on that. Currently, we are working on the mosquito repellent originated from the
Mhm.
indigenous seaweed of Karachi coast. earlier we have formulated biodegradable plastics from the phycocolloidal extracts obtained from the seaweeds of the Karachi coast. We have, showed it to the entrepreneurial events as well. We got first position, but later on,
Not enough.
but later on, the problem is that we need to cultivate the seaweeds, which right now we don't have the facility to cultivate all these,
If
seaweeds that
market
are
is there,
local.
sorry for interruption. What you exactly need to, you need to develop what you call as a business strategy, feasibility study. What exactly
Yes,
you want? Do
we need to.
feasibility study and cost. Do feasibility study and cost
Mhm,
benefit ratio. So if you will
mhm,
able to find a feasibility study of your pilot project, develop
mhm.
that and we'll try and get it fund for that. But we need to have a
Okay,
feasibility
that's great.
study, what kind of business we are looking for and what's the business capture, what is the future market and the cost benefit. And if you are developing that, then somebody else will do the culturing and other product as well. That means two business together,
We can. That's
right?
great.
So
If
doing that
I
way,
may
so
be allowed to
try,
jump in,
sure,
yeah.
Yes.
So I think this
sure,
should
sure.
be the best takeaway of today's webinar, that Dr. Nuzhat, who after her retirement from NIO is now heading the steering committee of Blue Economy in
Yeah.
FPCCI. She is
Yes.
offering her services to Karachi University's ORIC to help them commercialize their research. And I would like to suggest that instead of targeting the local industrialists, you can reach out to the source from where they are importing their active ingredients. So uh, you may be getting popular quickly rather than banging your head on the local industry in Pakistan who are not investing anything in the R&D. And
Yeah.
this is one of my key recommendations in today's webinar, that for helping securing livelihoods and promoting the skills of our coastal communities or maritime communities, the developing of aquaculture in Pakistan is critical. They are in
Yes.
fisheries, they are in sea trade, uh, mostly illegal sea trade. But if the research of our universities can help them contribute in developing aquaculture in their coastal villages, cultivating these algae or other sea grasses, which are now very sought after by our Chinese friends who are coming to Pakistan, and they also import them for their food. But I
Yes.
think we can grow a large number of varieties of plants, edible plants, for our foreign friends who are coming to Pakistan, and even taking their help in creating this aquaculture. And I don't know
I,
if the issue has been resolved by our PMSA friends of the connectivity, but environmental laws of the seas, especially in our coastal regions, I think PMSA should take lead in creating synergies between the environmental protection agencies of both the provinces, the coastal provinces, Sindh and Balochistan, and implementing the laws in the territorial waters and beyond, so that the health of the ocean, as Navmana pointed out earlier in her speech, should be protected. And the role of the coastal communities in Pakistan is very critical. I've been there in the coastal areas of Balochistan and Sindh for my MPhil and now PhD research and some other research projects. I have found them
Surely, Mona.
born seafarers, and as soon as they start learning how to walk, their children, they learn how to swim, and they are excellent navigators, excellent swimmers. They are into fishing, they are into sea trade, And if we invest in this strategic human resource, we can do wonders in developing our blue economy, and be it fishing, be it sea trade, aquaculture, coastal tourism, etc., etc. And we have more than 1 million people who are living on the coastal belt of Pakistan, from Jeevni to Sir Creek, and most of them are still living under the poverty line. And I have been talking to the provincial authorities, to the federal authorities, to our Chinese friends, to focus on their capacity building and bring them into the development fold, because their livelihood depends on the sea. And if we have a people focused approach and we invest in their well-being, we invest in their education and training. I haven't found any institute across the coast which is imparting technical or vocational training in fisheries. So their children, when they go to school and they are hardly doing primary or metric from any government school or any NGO school, they are not in the mood to go into the sea with their fathers. They find it a very demeaning job to go into the sea and get dirty in the fish catch. So we have to modernize fishing. We have to make it fashionable. We have to make it enjoyable for the new generations, so that they enter into this field with a passion.
And I think it's high time to hear from
Am
headquarters
I audible?
PMS
Sorry.
as well. Ji Nafal bhai.
Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
So I was only making this point that investing in the coastal communities who are born seafarers, and when I'm saying coastal communities, I'm not mentioning people who are living on the coast only, but those people who are living on the coast and their livelihood depends on the sea. So they are our asset, and they should be, at least the first step is to consider them as a skilled labor. I know there's legislation in the Assembly of Balochistan, and they are not included in the labor survey of Pakistan, and there's legislation pending in the Sindh government as well, in the Sindh Assembly as well. So PMSA can play a role by issuing them cards of bona fide seafarers, fishermen, so that only those people who are into this fishing business since generations, they can be treated with special care, and their training, their well-being can do wonders for the blue economy in Pakistan.
Thank you, Nafal bhai.
I'm done. Yes.
Am I audible now in headquarters PMSA? So we can't hear you. We can actually see you, but we can't hear you. Can you hear us, sir? Because we can't hear you actually. Okay, I think there is some issue there in headquarters PMSA because there is some disturbance in the voice as well. So now I think as Sir Nisar Mehman Sahab is with us, I think it would be great if we hear from him as well on the subject. Sir, may I ask you to comment on the topic?
Thank you very much for inviting me to speak. I was not planning to speak, but I joined in because of my connection with the UN SDN Sustainable Development Solution Network that you are also the member. I can only say I congratulate the IPR and the partners on arranging this very important event. The fact that you were able to get all the experts, and some we may not have heard, and I was hoping to hear the PMSA headquarter people also because they're very important. But however, it didn't happen. Now, I really would say that the only thing I'll say on this occasion is that we did drift a little bit away from the main subject that you had outlined earlier in your in the beginning, in some form, because we got into a particular product line. I think you need to have a bigger picture, and I think bigger picture is what was discussed earlier by Dr. Azhar Ahmed, that you need to have fundamentally the policy. And policy must be framed, in my view, by all the stakeholders that are there. And right now, you have quite a few stakeholders there. Therefore, you will need to meet together and evolve how science could be connected to the policy. Because you have all the scientists like Dr. Asma Tabassum, and you also have the managers like Dr. Nuzat Khan, with all the experience of an NIO, and now with the new situation that he has. I think what you need to do is, I look forward to the recommendation, but you need to deliberate a little bit more on it, and then come out with policy, science connecting the policy, and then going, because timing is very important. You are in fact timed with the the World Environment Day that we had on the 5th, and now tomorrow you're going to have ocean, and it's all about ecosystem restoration. And you're focused, particularly we're talking about the 30% of the coastal area of Sindh and 70% of the Balochistan, the long coastline of about 1,000 kilometers. Now, having said this, it is all, I would say in a nutshell, it's a security aspect for Pakistan. Security, not only the conventional security, which is the Navy in this particular case, but it is also the non-conventional security, which is the economy, the social aspect, the livelihood, that the subject you had, and the lives of the people and the fishermen that we talked about. And I think all of these need to be a part of that policy, uh, and then take it forward. Because I don't think the government today, as I see it, I'm not in the politics anymore at this point in time, but that the government is very focused, and the current climate change minister or advisor, Malik Amin Aslam, has done a tremendous job in bringing all this. So this, in fact, joins in with the ecosystem restoration, it joins in with the environment, it joins in with the pollution that we are talking about. Now, Karachi, you talked about, this subject is very close to me because being Karachi, although one lived now in Islamabad, but Karachi, as you all know, that suffered tremendously in 2015 when the death of around 1,200 people were reported because of the heat. Climate change is a major impact. I think this needs to be discussed as to what is the climate change impact on the whole ocean. And of course, the other thing is, I can only tell you that while we may have you're talking of maritime policies, but the rest of the policies exist. And the question in Pakistan we always see is the implementation. So you may like to also talk about whatever is on the ground, the policies are there. And this comes from the fact that when I was chairing the Senate's Defense and Defense Production Committee, we conducted thorough study of the environment, and that took us to the Navy, and Navy was losing billions and economy was losing billions. And we made up a recommendation which went right up to the Prime Minister of that time. And it was even accepted, not only accepted, but committee was formed, the Navy was part of it. So I would say that you have all the elements. And you being the think tank here in Islamabad, you could take this further as a policy, and we will be very happy to see that you also connect not only Pakistan, but also internationally, globally, which you are connected as part of the SDSN. So I would say congratulations, and this is a subject which we can go on talking, but I think I spoke more than what I was planning to, even I was not thinking of speaking. So thank you so much. And now I believe that Islamabad has got Maghrib time, but nevertheless,
Yes, sir.
if there's anything anybody wishes to ask me, I'll be very happy to answer that before I leave. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your insightful words. May I ask again, Headquarter PMSA, if we are audible to them, so that we can hear from them their thoughts on the subject. Yes, we are audible. Yes. You are audible. We can hear you. Please, sir.
Sir, first of all, I thank you to the IPS for conducting such an informative webinar and taking on board all the stakeholders and highlighting is an important aspect. As far as we are concerned, in my point of view, those things which we are suffering and we are not recording the required benefits from long course which we are having, and so many resources which Pakistan has, but unfortunately, since the creation of Pakistan, we have not focused on this area. And the only issue is the sea dryness that prevails in Pakistan. And since the creation of Pakistan, focus was not put into this aspect and policies were not made. There was no, as such, for the protection of the marine environment or any other policies which were made. As far as the MSA is concerned, since the creation of MSA back in 1987, once we started with a very humble beginning with few platforms, and it has come a long way, where it has now converted into a potent fleet, which is continuously going to sea and enforcing the maritime law in our own EEZ and beyond. And there are many things which PMSA is doing, like we are giving protection to our own fishermen, we are educating them to protect the marine environment, how they can avoid the illegal fishing, and the fish species which are banned in the catch of that fish is banned, how to avoid those things. Secondly, the second aspect is the illegal activities which are being taking place in our area and around the world also. MSA is taking care of that also. Just to give the security to the international community that this area is safe and they can invest there and they can come safely, like the CPAC is coming up, and it is very important to maritime security. Until unless they will not have this assurance that our area is protected from all illegal activities, they will never invest there. So there is a need of sound policy making in which all these aspects are covered, in which the maritime security, the marine protection, the illegal fishing aspects, the illegal activities, they need to be incorporated in our maritime policies. And there is a need to educate the people, especially the coastal community, of the importance of the maritime economy or the blue economy. Only in that case we can flourish. And for any questions or any other point by any speaker, we can.
I am audible, sir?
Yes, sir, you are.
As Commander Mohit have, I think so, briefly explained the waypoint of Pakistan Maritime Security Agency in the World Ocean Day. To few with add-on, my point of view is that in order to what we are going to do here, we are just going to celebrate, as per you saying that we are going to celebrate the World Ocean Day, and we have this theme of 2021, that is the life and the livelihood. But before going into this theme, we should, I don't think so that any of the participants have ever discussed about that what could we have done to the last thing, which was the innovation for the sustainable ocean. But Pakistan Maritime Security Agency have undertaken the every day that is relating to the maritime sector in a way according to its scheme. We have established the core education to the local fishermen in the developing the sense of the fishing and all other the marine life. As discussed by one of the speakers, that now the children are not willing to go with their father because we are operating at sea 24/7. We are we are coming in touch with the local fishermen, and the same is the case. But here I must in you that you should have the more participants or the more representative from the Sindh government and the Balochistan government, because we work on the behalf of the government. We have to work on the behalf of on the direction of the government, but in order to implement policies, in order to implement the laws at the land, that is the task of the government of the conventional levels. So there was one more question by Dr. Asma that what PMSA is doing in protecting the marine life, as described my senior. We are catching the people which are doing the illegal fishing. That is a very small fishing, the band nets that are causing the huge loss if we stop doing that thing. So there is in shortage of the time, there is a lot more to discuss. So in just in a few words, we will explain that there is as we are encountering in this Sri Lanka, there has been one incident. A cargo ship has been sunk for loss, and there was a fire on board that ship for last 7 days and near coast of the Colombo, and they are now unable to determine the damages that have been caused by the sunken ship. So in order to cater for, we along with Pakistan Navy are carrying out exercises with all other stakeholders in the sea. That name is Barakoda every year to rehearse the responses as per NNDC plan. So in order to be more comprehensive in our area, we need other stakeholders, and I think that this institution and by this platform, by imparting knowledge to the students, we can get more and more benefit from this area.
And easy resources for sustainable livelihood. Thank you so much for that. Now, if I ask Naufal Bhai for some comments as discussion regarding the subject.
Thanks, Inam, but I think I have already spoken on the subject, and some of my concerns have been responded to by the PMSA officials. And my only contribution to the debate was focused on the coastal communities. Nisar Ahmed Memon Sahab generously also contributed and regarded it as a security issue. And yes, this is a security issue as well, because the poverty and exploitation of the coastal communities makes them vulnerable to be exploited by parties that are against the stability and integrity of the country, and they also fell prey to smugglers, illegal fishermen, rackets, and drug traders through the sea. So if they are not brought into the fold of economy, if they are not mainstreamed, if they are not documented as bona fide fishermen, as bona fide seafarers, and their abilities, their skills, and their love for the ocean, it is not harnessed by proper policy and integrated maritime and coastal zone managements by our respective authorities at the federal and provincial levels, I think we would be at a loss. So focusing on these people is in the best interest of Pakistan. It is in the best interest of Pakistan's economy. It is in the best interest of both the provinces. So my thesis, my research focus, and my research advocacy is all for the coastal communities of Balochistan and Sindh. who are seafarers, fishermen, boat makers, protectors of the mangroves, protectors of the fish species, and the health of the oceans. And they are contributing their bit for generations, for the food security of Pakistan, for the uh, coastal tourism, and several other areas under blue economy. Thank you.
Um, can I add few? Oh, okay. We are already about to conclude. I mean, we are reaching to the time. But whatever Dr. Nuzhat has said, Noful Bhai has highlighted, and Nisar Saab has highlighted, I would like to add a few things and खास तौर पे जो Dr. Asma बात करी थी. Dr. Asma, with regards to whatever your projects are and your students are working really hard, it's so I'm so happy to learn from you whatever your projects are. I would suggest that you should look for international partners as well. I have been part of Sustainable Ocean Alliance. I was nominated as Young Ocean Leader in 2019 by Government of Norway, and also I was working as Young Policy Advisor with United Nations from their platform. They actually give you seed money for all these entrepreneurial ventures as well as for research. To the students who are into startups and like to do new things. So you should look for it, and if you need my help, I'll be always available to you and to your students. Number one. Number two, from the platform of IPS, whatever we have discussed so far, I think IPS should emphasize on 2 to 3 things. Number one, ocean related subjects should be made part of curriculum, so that the children who are part of this coastal community should take pride in reading that, and they should know that this is not a demeaning job or anything less than any other profession, not less than a doctor or an engineer or anything, they should learn to take pride in their profession. Another suggestion which I would like to give to IPS is that they should emphasize on role of media in highlighting the significance of oceans, because IPS is a reputed think tank, and they have a say in policy making circle as well as in research circles as well. So probably coming from their platform, it will be more audible for the audience. And then when it comes to entrepreneurship and blue economy and sustainability of the oceans, I think all universities, as Dr. Azhar highlighted, that there are only 2 universities, Namal and Perry University, who are actually working on ocean related subjects. All universities should consider maritime related industries or professions or activities in their entrepreneurship related subjects. They should give opportunities to their students that they should work on these projects, and this IPS can also take this recommendation and bring it to the social circle and political circle for further consideration. Thank you so much. That's all from my side.
Thank you, Ms. Nagmana. Dr. Asma, if you want to add something.
Ji, thank you very much, Ms. Nagmana and Dr. Nuzhat. I love to connect with you soon, and inshallah, together we can fix the problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you. With this, I think we have reached the concluding part, and for that, I would like to ask Syed Abrar Hussain, former ambassador and IPS vice chairman, to please, sir, the forum is for you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to hold this seminar today on the eve of the World Ocean Day, and to listen to so many experts, which were experts in real meaning on the related issues. Well, we have talked about the potential of the oceans. Let me quote a verse from لِتَجْرِيَ الْفُلْكُ فِيهِ بِأَمْرِهِ وَلِتَبْتَغُوا مِنْ فَضْلِهِ وَلَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ. It's Allah who has subjected the ocean to you so that ships may sail through it by His command, and so that you may seek of His grace, and so that you may be grateful. The last part of this verse says that one of the purposes of the subjugation of the sea and oceans to human beings is that they should be grateful to Allah. Now, there can be two ways of being grateful. One is, of course, saying it verbally that, oh God, we are very grateful to you. We are thankful to you. And the second is through our actions. I don't think if we are dumping waste into the seas and we are creating problems for the sea life, then we can say that we are grateful. This is not expressing the gratitude. This is vice versa. So if we want to be grateful, we should appreciate the potentials of the oceans. We should appreciate whatever we can get from the oceans. We should appreciate the blue economy, the maritime affairs, and we should work in this regard. Well, in today's webinar, we have learned so many things. Many of the speakers spoke about the maritime strategy, about the coastal zones, about the law of the sea, about the blue economy. But there was a general agreement that there should be more research and more awareness about maritime issues, about protection of oceans, about problems of the coastal zones, and about blue economy. And towards the end, there was a proposal that we should make these things part of our curriculum at the university level, or even at college and school level. The primary issues can be discussed in the curriculum. There was also a suggestion about commercialization of the requisite research. So that was also a wonderful idea. But I'm happy that we could at least discuss so many related issues today. And I'm thankful to all the speakers and all the participants. And my special thanks to Mr. Nisar Memon Sahab, who joined us. It was very kind of him. And let me once again express my gratitude to all of you. Thank you.
To benefiting from your insights in the future as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Khuda Hafiz.